Hi you guys. Thanks for stopping at my channel. I want to tell you how much I appreciate you spending time with me here every week on my YouTube channel and watching my videos. So today I brought to you a spring project with a really cool bee on it. I'm showing you the products that I thought I may use on this project. There's some cool napkins. I have a stencil with that bee, some background stamps. This is a scrap of paper, and we have some chalk paint. My trusty journal book that I've been using for my backgrounds and my collage papers. And I have an 8x8 3/4 inch MDF board that I have spray painted black. So let's see how this is going to turn out. I'm going to use my matte medium, and I'm going to adhere my journal pages from my journal book that I got at a rummage sale. I think I might have to start photocopying some of these papers because I'm really going through them and I don't want to be without. So the texture when you make a photocopy is a little bit different than it is when you have the actual old vintage paper. So we'll see how it goes. It is just going to be March this week, and rummage sales will be starting soon. So let's see what I get when I go rummage sailing, and I will show you what I get as I get my great finds at rummage sailing. If you would like, I would show you that on my videos. I think it's always fun to see what kind of inspiration you can find. All right, back to the piece. Sorry, I'm rambling. I am putting down some off-white chalk paint, and this is a paint by Plaid. I'm really loving it, and I just used a wet brush to take a little bit of that paint back up and a paper towel because I wanted to see some of that journaling in the background. I'm going to give it a quick dry here, and I wanted to let you know what my inspiration was for this piece. My inspiration here was a pillow that I saw. I'm not even sure where I was, a store or something, and it had this great bee on it. And so I thought, well, I'm going to try and make that into an art piece, and we'll see how it turns out. Here is a rubber stamp that reminded me of the texture of fabric. So I'm using my brown archival ink, and I would probably use a second generation stamping if I did this again because it seemed a little bit dark. But I'm going to dry it and maybe put a little bit of gesso over the top to push it back. So keep that in mind. If you use a brown or a black to add a little bit of texture, you can always stamp it off on some paper and then go ahead and stamp it onto your project. Sometimes that works best. I'm just going to cut off those excess papers that are hanging off of the edge there. And here is another chalk paint, and it is called Summer Porch. And this is how I'm going to push back that stamping there a little bit. I don't want to cover it all the way. And you can see I'm using my damp towel there and a fan brush just to give it a little pushing back. That brown got a little dark for me. There, it looks better already. All right, now I'm just using my water container to make a circle on my piece. I'm going to make a wreath using some of Shawn Petite stencils to frame that bee. And so I was deciding here if I was going to use that honeycomb portion of the stencil, and I thought better of it. So I'm just using a little bit of the off-white chalk paint and going in the middle here of the wreath area just to lighten it up a bit, because I'm going to put that bee in there and I wanted to make sure that I didn't lose the wings and all of that. So I'm trying to think how I'm going to do this bee, and I have some paint there on a scratch paper, and I'm using some foam pads and some makeup sponges, and I'm going to go ahead and use that on some tissue paper. Wasn't quite sure what I was doing here, but I thought I would show you the process. So I'm looking at mixing a little bit of the white and this blue to make the wings in kind of a little bluish gray color. And I'm just carefully dabbing that through the stencil. And you can see I did adhere that stencil down with a couple strips of the painter's tape. I'll go ahead and put some yellow on the bee's body, and I'm using my favorite, of course, you know it. It's called Fossilized Amber, and it's a distress paint by Tim Holtz. I just love this color. I'm checking. Okay, I'm gonna do the bee's body, and then I thought I better mask off those wings. So this bee is quite a process. I think doing it next time, I'm probably going to do it a little bit different. I may make the bee with some markers maybe, I'm not sure, but if I do come up with a different idea on making the bee, I'll let you know. It does turn out in the end, so I guess that's all that matters. But it was a little difficult for me, and this piece yeah, it had a few challenges, but I liked how it turned out. Taking off that little bit of tape to reveal what I've got there, and then I've got to do his little feet there, so just don't want to get any black on the wings. Just needed a little bit more. Careful. All right. Had a little black dot there, but I wasn't going to worry about it too much. These are not perfect. Now I'm trying to figure out how to get that black portion of his body back on there. And I thought, well, I'm going to put the bee down. I'm going to do the flower wreath around the outside, and we'll think about it. So here is a stencil from Shawn Petite, and I will leave it in the description below, and I think that it's called Greens 2, and like I said, I'll make sure I link it so that you can check it out. I'm using two kinds of green paint, and I am going right around that circle that I drew with my pencil onto my MDF board. And this does take a little time, takes a little patience, but that's creating. We can't rush it. We want to make sure that it turns out beautiful. So just enjoy the process. All right, so I went around and I also used a little bit of brown paint and added a few little sprigs of brown leaves there. And this stencil, I'm going to add those little flowers, and I'm going to keep the color palette going the same, and I'm going to use that fossilized amber. That's something I'm trying to make sure I'm doing in my art, is keep the color palette to just a few basic colors. It seems like it really helps when you're creating, and I think this piece turned out real well. As I'm doing my voiceover here, I'm looking outside, and it was the most beautiful sunny day today, and now it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's gotten all cloudy and it's starting to snow. We're definitely done with snow. We want the spring to come. So it's kind of frustrating to see that it's starting to snow again. But that's all right. I don't have to go anywhere tonight, and we'll just hang out and create this piece with you. Okay, I'm adding a couple of different sizes of those leaves to the wreath. And that one apparently I did not like, so I just wiped it up. If your acrylic paint is still a little wet, just use a baby wipe and you can wipe it right up. Here, I did it again. So I wasn't liking how that was going. Just use a little bit of water and it'll wipe right up. And then I had this blue that I used on the wings of the bee, and I thought I was just going to add a few little blue accents also to the wreath. Here I'm taking my green and a thin little brush, and I'm just connecting all of those lines from the stenciled portion so that it doesn't look so stenciled, and it's just all nice and connected, and the leaves look as they are one. Here's my bee. I'm going to use a little bit of clean water and just kind of cut it out like that, and a clean brush. And we'll see what we can do with this. Isn't that cute? I'm going to put it down with my matte medium, putting a nice layer down with my brush, adhering the bee down carefully. There. And just smoothing it out gently with my finger. Here I'm just using my fingernail to carefully take away some of that tissue paper. You have to be careful so you don't take too much, because you'll end up ripping your little bee. But I think it looks adorable. Okay, so here is a background stamp that I have, and this white and black piece that I'm showing you there was the actual writing on the outside of the stamp, if that makes sense. And I took it off because I was using that background stamp just having the words separate, and so I thought, well, I'm keeping that paper because it has all those great words on it. I'm sure I'll use it in my art somewhere. I just stamped the happiness word in my brown potting soil, and I stamped that on tissue paper, and now I'm just going around the piece with that wet brush and taking off all the edges. There. It's looking cute. I'm going to adhere that down with my matte medium and being very careful not to rip it. Here's where I'm just using some of that paint that I had left on my palette there. I'm filling in the flowers, just giving them a little more depth and dimension, just with my brush real quick, nothing too intense. Just kind of using the side of the brush so it makes the petal shape. That looks much better. And here's where I used that blue. I wanted to tie the blue from the wings into the outside of that wreath piece. So I'm just using a thin little brush, and I'm just going to use it on the edge and just kind of add little ovals or dots to be small little leaves or accents to those flowers. Not a lot, but yet it pulls it all together, I was thinking. There. Just those tiny little details. I needed to add some centers to those flowers, so I'm using that same brown that we used. I got to give it a dry, and then I cleaned up my work area here. It was getting a little cluttered. And again, going back just to add a little bit of brown to the centers of those flowers. Now I'm going to go over that bee's body and intensify that yellow, and I'm going to leave the area for the black stripe that I feel is missing. So I'm just completing the bee, and by putting these little details in, it really pulled it together. Yeah, he needed another stripe on his belly, didn't he? Super cute. Now for the stencil for the bee, I really have no idea where I got that. I want to say I got it at Hobby Lobby, and I didn't get it in the rubber stamping area. I think I got it over by where they have the paint, and they have a section of stencils over by the paint and the supplies over there. So check over there. I always keep my eyes open for different things, different stencils in different areas of different stores. So I think that's where I got it, and I probably have had it for quite a while and never used it, but I think I'll use it more and more. I really like it. Super cute. Now I'm just using a little bit of my white paint and that blue and combining it a little bit, and I have a baby wipe in my hand, so if I feel that it's getting too thick, I'll wipe it with a baby wipe. I don't want to lose all of that texture in the wing, but I want to make the wing look complete. I'll have some still shots, still photos for you at the end, some close-ups, so you'll be able to see how the bee turned out. And I did put a little bit of Wink of Stella on the wings at the end to add a little shimmer to it, and it really did make it pop. I'm not sure if you'll see that in the pictures or not, but I did add that in it, and it was a nice little detail. Now we just have to remember that we have the shading and the low lights and then some highlights to put on here yet, because right now it's looking a little flat, but I'm going to work with some Stabilo pencils, and I have a blue, a brown, and a white now I've added to my collection. Right now I'm going around the bee with a little bit of blue, I think, or maybe that's the brown. Giving that some real definition so that you see the whole outline of the bee. I like these Stabilo all pencils, and I will link them below. They just melt so great with your water. So I'm using the black, the brown, some blue, and some white on this piece, and a little bit of water on my brush, and it just really makes the piece look awesome, I think. And the shading and the highlight and the low lights, it all takes time, but I really like doing this portion of the piece. It makes me happy, and I really like to sit and complete it all because it really gives the whole piece character and brings it to life. There's a little bit of the blue. I thought maybe that would add something cool to the wings, and it did. Now don't be afraid to use your watercolor pencils. I bet you they would work in the same way. Just try it, check it out. I'm going to add my charcoal pencil here, go all around the edges and finish it up. I'll have some Distress crayon there, brown on the edges. Just blending it with my finger. I wanted to give that the corners a little bit of definition. Here it is, all completed. And now I went around with the Stabilo pencils I'm showing you And I'm adding a little bit of the brown pastel to the edge because I didn't have anything that was dark enough. So I thought this brown pastel would work to create the frame that we need. I hope you enjoyed this project. I really loved the bee and I loved the wreath, and I'll leave everything linked for you below. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you, and enjoy the still shots at the end. There you go. We'll see you soon. Thank you.